How's it going, everyone? It's good to see you. Coach Peace here. I decided to do something cool for you all. When I work with my graduate students, I do a lot of mentoring as far as professional development and overall just life skills. Because oftentimes when you guys are working in school, you're focused so damn much on your own majors and your crafts that there's little attention put on actual skills that get you through the day-to-day. And it's something that I'm very, very passionate for, to help individuals through life. So there's something that I did for my in-person classes. Before their midterms, I actually read them a passage from the book that I use to teach my graduate students. It's called The Obstacle is the Way. It's by Ryan Holiday. You might see it backwards right now because my camera's flipped. But it's a wonderful book that goes over Stoic philosophy. And in each little chapter, Ryan Holiday uses real-life history examples to display how people used persistence and discipline and consistency and how to alter your perspective and control your emotions so that you can put your best foot forward every single day. And so I read a passage to both of my in-person classes, and it's something that I want to do for you all as well as a way to get pumped up for this second semester. Because I care about you guys. My students are everything to me. I'm passionate for being a professor. I truly love what I do, and I want what's best for you all. And I want to get your ass in gear so that you guys can really kick ass throughout the rest of the semester so you can achieve your goals, get good grades, and keep making progress on towards your degrees. But to do that, you guys got to learn the little things of what to do each and every day to handle stress and challenges and obstacles. So throughout the rest of the semester, I'm going to try and make one of these videos every single week based off of the material that I go over with my graduate students, because I feel that you guys could really benefit from this too. And so I figured out the best way to start is by a piece all about action. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read this chapter to you right now, and in a discussion post, I want you to give me just a couple little insights into how it made you feel, what were your major takeaways, and how you can apply this further and into your lives personally. And excuse my appearance, I just got back from a CrossFit workout. And I actually feel it's very, very pertaining to what we're about to go over, because for years I was always against CrossFit, and I always wondered why, when really I just kind of had to do a little ego check for myself and be like, well, the only reason I didn't really do it is because I was afraid, right? Shit's hard. It's really, really difficult. But one of the biggest lessons I want to teach you all is you have to embrace the challenges to get to where you want to be, to get better, to grow. You have to challenge yourself. You have to walk through what's scary and what frightens you, because honestly, that's the only way to get to the other side of where you truly want to be. Okay? So what I want to do is I'm going to read this chapter to you all, and then I want you guys to reflect on it in your discussion question on how it made you feel and what were your major takeaways. So this particular chapter is part of the action chapter that's in this particular in the particular book. And so this chapter is called Get Moving. Amelia Earhart wanted to be a great aviator, but it was in the 1920s, and people still thought that women were frail and weak and didn't have the stuff. Woman suffrage was not even a decade old. She couldn't make her living as a pilot, so she took a job as a social worker. Then one day the phone rang. The man on the line had a pretty offensive proposition along the lines of, "We have something willing to fund the first female transatlantic flight. Our first choice is already backed out. You won't get to actually fly the plane, and we're going to send 2 men along as chaperones. And guess what? We'll pay them a lot of money, and you won't get anything. Oh, and you very well might die doing it." You know what she said to that offer? She said yes. Because that's what people who defy the odds do. That's how people who become great at things, whether it's flying or blowing through gender stereotypes, do. They start anywhere, anyhow. They don't care if the conditions are perfect or if they're being slighted, because they know that once they get started, if they can just somehow get some momentum, they can make it work. As it went for Amelia Earhart, less than 5 years later, she was the first woman to fly solo nonstop across the Atlantic and became rightly one of the most famous and respected people in the world. But none of that would have happened had she turned up her nose at that offensive offer or sat around feeling sorry for herself. None of it could have happened if she stopped after that first accomplishment either. What mattered was that she took the opening and then pressed ahead. That was the reason for her success. Life can be frustrating. Oftentimes we know what our problems are. We may even know what to do about them, but we fear that taking action is too risky, that we don't have the experience, or that it's not how we pictured it, or because it's too expensive, because it's too soon, because we think something better might come along, because it might not work. And you know what happens as a result? Nothing. We do nothing. Tell yourself, the time for that has passed. The wind is rising. The bell's been rung. Get started. Get moving. We often assume that the world moves at our leisure. We delay when we should initiate. We jog when we should be running, or better yet, sprinting. And then we're shocked. Shocked when nothing big ever happens, when opportunities never show up, when new obstacles begin to pile up, or the enemies finally get their act together. Of course they did. We gave them room to breathe. We gave them the chance. So the first step is take the bat off your shoulder, give it a goddamn swing. You've got to start to go anywhere. Now let's say you've already done that. Fantastic. You're already ahead of most people. But let's ask yourself an honest question. Could you be doing more? You probably could. There's always more. At minimum, you could be trying harder. You might have gotten started, but your full effort isn't in it, and that shows. Is that going to affect your results? No question. In the first years of World War II, there was no worse assignment for British troops than being sent to the North African front. Methodical and orderly, the British hated the grueling weather and terrain that wreaked havoc on their machines and their plans. They acted how they felt, slow, timid, cautious. German Field Marshal General Erwin Rommel, on the other hand, he loved it. He saw war as a game, a dangerous, reckless, untidy, fast-paced game. And most important, he took this game with incredible energy and was perennially pushed his troops forward. The German troops had a saying about him, where Rommel is, there's the front. That's the next step, ramming your feet into the stirrups and really going for it. That's definitely not what they say about most leaders today. While overpaid CEOs take long vacations and hide behind email autoresponders, some programmer is working 18-hour days coding the startup that will destroy that CEO's business. And if we were honest, we're probably closer to the former than the latter when it comes to the problems we face, or worse, the ones we don't. While you're sleeping, traveling, attending meetings, or messing around online, scrolling on Instagram, the same thing is happening to you. You're going soft. You're not aggressive enough. You're not pressing ahead. You've got a million reasons why you can't move at a faster pace. This all makes the obstacles in your life loom very large. For some reason, these days we tend to downplay the importance of aggression, of taking risks, of barreling forward. It's probably because it's been negatively associated with certain notions of violence or masculinity. But of course, Earhart shows that this isn't true. In fact, on the side of her plane, she painted the words, "Always think with your stick forward." That is, you can't ever let up your flying speed, because if you do, you crash. Be deliberate, of course, but you always need to be moving forward. And that's the final part. Stay moving, always. Like Earhart, Rommel knew from history that those who attack problems in life with the most initiative and energy usually win. He was always pushing ahead, keeping the stampede on the more cautious British forces to devastating effect. His string of offenses at Cyrenaica, Tobruk, and Tunisia led to some of the most astonishing victories in the history of warfare. He got started early while the British were still trying to get comfortable, and as a result, Rommel was able to seize what appeared to be an unstoppable advantage in some of the most uninhabitable terrain on the planet. He blew right through the bleak battlefields of North Africa with its enormous distances, blinding sandstorms, scorching heat, lack of water, because he never ever stopped moving. It surprised even his commanding officers, who time and time again attempted to slow Rommel down. They preferred deliberation and discourse to advancement. It had devastating effect on the momentum that Rommel had built with his troops, just as it does in our own lives. So listen up. When you're frustrated in pursuit of your own goals, don't sit there. Don't complain that you don't have what you want or that this obstacle won't budge. If you haven't even tried yet, then of course you will still be in the exact same place. You haven't actually pursued a damn thing. We talk a lot about courage as a society, but we forget that at its most basic level, it's really just taking action. Whether that's approaching someone you're intimidated by or deciding to finally crack a book on a subject you need to learn. Just as Earhart did, all the greats you admire started by saying yes. let's go. And they usually did it in less desirable circumstances than what you or I will ever suffer. Just because the conditions aren't exactly to your liking or don't feel ready yet doesn't mean you get a pass. If you want momentum, you have to create it yourself right now by getting up and getting started. I don't know how to say it any more plainly than that. There are so many times in our lives where we're sitting down wondering why this, why that, why don't I have this, why don't I have that, why do I have to feel this way? The moral of the story here is it's all on you. And I'll be straight with you. There might be some of you watching this now rolling your eyes, thinking, oh yeah, whatever. Yeah, whatever, who cares? We're young, okay? We got all the time in the world. You don't. You could die tomorrow. That's how fragile life is. Don't waste any time. Make the small efforts every single day because it's the right now that counts. Sure, it might seem harmless that you're scrolling on Instagram and doing all those sorts of things, but stop wasting your time. If you want to be successful in your courses, if you want to be successful towards your career, you have to take action. Quit lollygagging around, get off your ass, and put in the work. I'll post this to Blackboard. You guys have to answer a couple reflection questions on the discussion board, and you'll get this for credit. Start applying this every single day. We're going to do this every week. Coach B's out. See you in the next one.